My God, I hate drugs.
In other news, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says Communications Assistant Secretary Mocha Dahil continues to enjoy the president's trust. That's amid her quarrel with former TV host Kris Pahiya.
She hasn't been fired. She enjoys trust and confidence because all presidential appointees serve at the pleasure of the president.
The spat began when Dahil dragged Aquino's late father into defending the president's controversial kiss with a Filipino worker in South Korea. Special assistant to the president, Bongo, says President Duterte has apologized to Kris Aquino and that Dahil herself will apologize. But Dahil has said on her Facebook page that she, quote, declines to apologize for the truth. Kris Aquino is moving on from the spat. That's what she said in a television interview yesterday afternoon. Aquino, referring to Dahil, added, quote, I don't want to give her any more of my fame. In the same TV interview, Aquino read text messages exchanged between her and the president's special assistant, Bongo, after Dahil refused to apologize. Aquino told Go, quote, she obviously didn't show you respect and you don't deserve that. To which Go supposedly replied, quote, Ma'am, hindi po namin kontrolado si Mocha, pero nagsorry na kami ni PRRD. President Duterte has no problem with Communications Assistant Secretary Mocha Dahil refusing to apologize to Kris Aquino. The president said he needs to respect Dahil's right to free speech. He said he does not see it as Dahil disobeying his orders. Here's the president in his own words.
As I respect the opposition, I must also respect the people in my camp. She has invoked the right of free expression, freedom to express. Once mag-invoke ka ng ganun, wala akong magawa.
President Duterte also confirmed, telling Special Assistant to the President Bongo to relay his apologies to Aquino. From the top stories here in the country to headlines across the globe, Beijing may have removed missile systems from the disputed Ruby Islands in the South China Sea. New analysis from the Israeli intelligence firm ImageSat International suggests the systems may have been removed or relocated. Previous satellite imagery showed a number of missile launchers and a radar system on the island shore covered by camouflage netting. Those have now disappeared. Chinese smartphone maker ZTE has reached a deal with U.S. authorities that will allow it to buy American parts once again. The U.S. is imposing several terms, such as paying a fine of $1 billion and putting $400 million in an escrow account. ZTE was earlier banned after the U.S. accused the company of violating sanctions on Iran and North Korea. Back in 2007, ZTE also got involved in a controversial national broadband network deal with the Arroyo administration. The scrap deal was worth $329 million. And U.S. President Donald Trump, he may invite North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to the United States. That's if their meeting in Singapore next week goes well. Trump also says he could envision a normalization of ties between the U.S. and North Korea if a deal is reached with Kim. A group of Korean Americans are watching intently as preparations continue ahead of a planned summit between President Trump and Kim Jong-un. 10 million Korean families were divided on opposite sides of the border after the Korean War reached a stalemate in 1953. CNN's Natasha Chen speaks to one man who's now a U.S. citizen in Virginia, wondering if this political dialogue is an opening to find out what happened to his siblings.
Kyung-Ju Lee is in his 90s, living in a senior home in Annandale, Virginia. His quiet life now is 6,700 miles from the violence where he began. With talks signaling a change in the dynamic between the U.S. and North Korean leaders, Lee is talking about the life and siblings he left there.
Wow.
매일 아침 기도해요. 지금도 매일 아침에 매 새벽에 기도해요. 살아있으면 하나님 보호해달라고.
Through a translator, Lee told me he had to escape North Korea because as a teenager, he joined a student movement protesting the communists who turned their guns on protesters.
그런 죽은 학생들이 피를 흘리는 거 그걸 갖다가 우리가 손수레에다가 실어가지고 끌고 다니면서 우리가 반대했죠 이제.
Lee showed me later pictures of when he fought with the South Korean army against the North. He even has a picture of his mother, who eventually escaped to join him in the South. But neither he nor his mother ever heard from his 3 older brothers or older sister again.
이제는 아마 다 돌아가셨을 거예요. 이제 그렇게 생각해요.
Lee says if he ever saw them again,
할 수 있는 말이 없지. 그냥 부둥 안고 그저 눈물을 흘리면서 그저 반갑습니다. 그저 하고 하나님 감사합니다. 그것뿐 이제 어떻게 무엇을 어떻게 표현할 거예요? 그 감정을 갖다가.
In recent years, North and South Korea have facilitated family reunions, bringing together relatives who have been caught on opposite sides of the 38th parallel after the war. But there is no channel for Korean Americans like Lee to reunite with family. And as the older generation passes away, this summit is perhaps a last chance for resolution.
눈 감으면 보이는 잊지 못할 내 고향.
In Annandale, Virginia, I'm Natasha Chen.
The Bicameral Conference Committee has yet to meet and reconcile their versions of the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law, or BBL. But this early, anxiety is already building, especially for the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and its Bangsamoro Transition Commission that crafted the law. Our senior correspondent David Santos tells us more.
In a forum in Makati, Bangsamoro Transition Commission Chair Ghazali Jaafar drops what appears to be a cryptic message.
In front of us are several options as revolutionary organizations.
He is responding to the question, what if the proposed Bangsamoro Basic Law, or BBL, doesn't make it through Congress again?
And as revolutionary leaders, we will choose which among those options in front of us, most viable thing for us to do.
Asked if these options would include the Moro Islamic Liberation Front going back to its armed struggle, Jaafar would not say. But anticipation is building among the ranks of the MILF and in many communities in Mindanao. The Bicameral Conference Committee is set to meet on July 9 to 13 to reconcile their versions of the proposed BBL. President Duterte is expected to sign it into law on July 23rd. Jaafar and the BTC hope to be present during the BICAM deliberations. The version of the lower house is supposedly the closest to the original BBL draft. Presidential Peace Advisor Jess Dureza is telling stakeholders to manage their expectations.
It's either a Congress version or the Senate version. Or in some provisions, pag may magandang version si Congress, at merong magandang version sa Senate, pwede namin i-merge yun. But definitely, hindi kami makapagdagdag bawas doon.
The 2014 peace agreement was supposed to end the decades-long conflict in Mindanao, which is deeply rooted in the Moros' aspiration for self-governance, in recognition of their historical right to have their own identity. But resistance is still obvious, especially in Christian-dominated areas, where residents are considered migrants to Mindanao.
If you continue to mistrust us, to discriminate us, we can no longer control the leaders of the Moro after us. So pag nagpatuloy yung ganyan, treatment ng ganyan, can you blame the coming Moro after us?
This issue on trust is once again placed under the spotlight when lawmakers decide on the fate of the BBL next month. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
The University of the Philippines remains to be the country's top university. That despite a dip in its ranking based on the latest World University ranking of a United Kingdom-based group. The state university's flagship campus in Diliman, Quezon City, ranked 384th this year with an overall score of 28.8. That's 17 places down from 367th last year, according to the 2019 Quacquarelli-Simmons World University Rankings. Ateneo de Manila University, De La Salle University, and University of Santo Tomas also made it to the top 1,000 universities list. Ateneo placed at the 651 to 700 ranking, down from 551 to 600 last year. From its ranking of 701 to 750 last year, LaSalle dipped to 801 to 1,000. USC, meanwhile, did retain its spot. The rankings are based on academic reputation, employer reputation, faculty-student relationship, citations per faculty, international faculty, and international student ratio. Following her recent word war with the queen of all media, Kris Aquino, Communications Assistant Secretary Mocha is scheduled to attend the press conference of the first Women Film Festival in the country. Uson is expected to answer questions from the media about her issue with Aquino. Other officials who will be present in the event are Interior Assistant Secretary Marjorie Haloshos, Film Development Council Chair Liza Dino, and Quezon City Vice Mayor Joy Belmonte, among others. And the Supreme Court marks a milestone. The High Tribunal celebrates today its 117th anniversary. Acting Chief Justice Antonio Carpio will lead the festivities and will deliver a message this afternoon. Associate justices and employees are expected to attend activities at the SC Quadrangle. Speaking of new movies, girl power takes the spotlight in the latest film in the Oceans series. The movie features a star-studded cast including Oscar winners Anne Hathaway and Kate Blanchett and pop superstar Rihanna.